Hello everyone, welcome to our discussion on socio-biology. Today we are going to discuss about hormones and their action on behavior. The endocrine systems, which is present from in our phylum Arthropoda in non-chordata and also in phylum Chordata in every vertebrate, regulate most of the physiological events in our body like growth, development, metabolism, ionic balance, and have also found to have a profound influence in all sorts of behavior. The intimate relationship between hormones and nervous system plays the pivotal role in the relationship between the nervous system and the hormones and behavior. So, the role of hormones in the sexual behavior is demonstrated by experiments with female cats. An estrus female responds to the approach of male and allow it to be mounted. And this is because of the influence of estrogen or the over influence of estrogen present during the estrus during the when the female is in estrus. When she is not in estrus, she reacts aggressively to the close approach of the male. Many hormones are found to be responsible or to influence behavior, and such hormones are MSH, ACTH, vasopressin, and oxytocin. Hormones and behavior interact in many functional systems like sexual behavior, reproductive behavior, maternal behavior, aggression, territoriality, etc. In this particular section, we are going to discuss how hormones influence reproductive behavior, sexual behavior, maternal and paternal behavior, and aggression. In aggression, we also will discuss the other type of behaviors like competitions, communications, dominance, and territoriality, which is associated with this. So, first is hormones and reproductive behavior. Many studies have proved the role of hormones in sexual as well as reproductive cycles in vertebrates. In birds, the length of the day during the spring influences the gonad, leading to its enlargement and decline in the production of the hormone called as melatonin, which is secreted by the pineal gland. This melatonin is actually having an inhibitory effect in the growth of the gonads. And as we know, melatonin, the hormone, is released in response to light. That means its secretion increases in darkness or in the absence of light. So during the spring, when the day length is short, what happens is melatonin production decreases. And this decrease in melatonin production causes increase of the gonad so that the inhibitory concentration is lowered. As a result, the gonads enlarge and increases the production of sex hormones, which also cause the reproductive behaviors like territorial defense, the appropriate singing behavior, etc. So that was the example which was related to the reproductive behavior and hormones. The second one is hormones and sexual behavior. Sex hormones are essential for three purposes in organisms. The sex hormones are responsible for sex attraction and recognition of the male. So, because one individual should recognize its male correctly, the species of the male of the same species. So that is done by the hormones. So attraction and recognition. The second one is sexual interaction and courtship. That is also influenced by hormones. Next is postural responses by male and female to achieve copulation. So that happens in the other organisms. Uh, So for example, in female rhesus monkey, the estrogen enhances females' attractiveness and females' receptivity to the male. The males In the rhesus monkey itself, the male's copulatory behavior like erection, ejaculation, etc., are controlled by testosterone and ACTH. The luteinizing hormone releasing factor from the hypothalamus directly affect the copulatory behavior. The male sex hormones like testosterone control the singing in male birds, which is used to attract females of their species. So this was regarding hormones and sexual behavior, how the sexual behavior is influenced by the different types of hormones. Next is hormones and maternal behavior. So it is observed that in humans, even in humans, you can clearly observe the difference between a particular female, how she behaves before uh, she becomes a mother, and how she behaves after she is a mother. So that difference is what is called as maternal behavior. She becomes more protective. She becomes more protective to the young ones. She tries to spend more time to the young ones, etc. So there are many behavioral changes which happens in a female after a young one or after she becomes a mother. So that is also influenced by the hormones. The same thing can be seen in males, which is called as paternal behavior. So this is observed that the estrogen and progesterone, which work in synergy in stimulating the maternal nest building. So that is seen in birds, the nest building behavior. So during parturition, the oxytocin level is high, which affect the behavior of the mother. So experiments have proved that the intracerebroventricular injections of oxytocin influence maternal behavior. This also happens in mammals. So the maternal behavior of the parturiting rat is activated by estrogen and oxytocin within the brain. So mainly in mammals, it is estrogen and oxytocin that is playing the major role uh, in in having something which is called as the maternal behavior. So hormones and paternal behavior. So same as that with the case of females, males also have a change in behavior, uh, and that is what is called as the paternal behavior. It has been shown that the hormones like the prolactin in birds and mammals and juvenile hormone in insects affect the animal paternal behavior. Prolactin is a peptide hormone which is involved in milk synthesis and it increases during pregnancy, while juvenile hormone is produced by the endocrine glands and affects development and molting. The two hormones also appear to be essential for family and social relationship among mammals. The main ones are oxytocin and vasopressin. So oxytocin influences the female behavior and vasopressin stimulates monogamous and paternal behavior in males. Scientists have shown that vasopressin is responsible for transforming young males into affectionate and aggressively protective partner and father. Oxytocin in female encourages the growth of social bonds. So these are the two main hormones, like mainly it is oxytocin and vasopressin. Also prolactin, the peptide hormone from the brain, is also found to have influence. Small amount of prolactin is also produced in the case of every organisms. As a result, it also influences the particular behavior in mammals too. That is in females as well as in males. So that is with the paternal and maternal behavior in the case with so every individual can recognize the change when there is this shift to motherhood and shift to fatherhood. The entire their behavior in some individuals, their entire behavior might have changed. So that is actually under the influence of such behaviors. You can see mothers becoming more protective to their children after being mothers. The same thing is observed in fathers also. So, but everybody might not experience the same change in behavior. That means every female might not show the same type of behavioral change during motherhood. Same the case with males. Every female might not show the same change during fatherhood. So it differs or it depends on the individual and their individual behavior. For example, if I observe myself, I have observed the change after me becoming father. The change which I observe that uh, I don't know what is a change in behavior that is being observed or that could not be judged by being protective, more protective, or etc. That is under my control of judgment. So what I observed personally was that previously, as every male, I used to see those movies which were those English movies which were type of horror which exhibited more killing. Like you might have seen the pictures which is called as Saw, etc., where brutal uh, massacre or brutal killing, etc., is shown in films. Usually, before becoming a father, I used to watch such movies, and I didn't feel much pity or something. I watched them uh, with a normal emotion. But after becoming a father, what I observed was that such movies I couldn't just view such movies. It creates a sort of irritation. It makes me think that what if this happens to my child? So that is what a change in behavior that occurs. The same thing I experienced when I saw a movie in which is called as a Bollywood movie, which depicts, I forgot the name of the movie. Uh, the movie which depicts a 1.5-year-old child. Her mother committed suicide in the same house. In a night, the film depicts like this: a husband and wife, uh, they quarrel each other, and the husbands leave the home in the night. The wife commits suicide, and they're having a 1.5-year-old child. So she this happened when the particular baby was sleeping. When she got up, she finds that her mother is sleeping. She didn't recognize that she is alive because she is only 1.5. And what she does in her house, because she is moving around, she is trying to take the mobile phone. So, what all she faces inside the house, actually, I couldn't watch the movie in complete. I stopped it in the middle. I till today I haven't watched the movie in complete. So such changes which also occurs in humans. So that's why I said it happens in every individual in when this change occurs. So that is what we discussed in what is called as the difference in hormonal influence of maternal as well as paternal behavior. Coming to the last one, which is hormones and aggressive behavior. So aggression evolves not as a continuous biological process but as a contingency plan. It is a set of complex responses of an animal's endocrine as well as in nervous system, which is summed up at the time of stress. It is not a continuous behavior which is always shown. This is a behavior which is aggression which is shown at the time which is needed, at the time of stress. A variety of experiences in life of an animal can influence the form and the intensity of its aggressive behavior. Because aggression is not the same that is exhibited by every individuals of a species. If we take humans, aggression in humans is not common. Aggression shown by me is not the aggression which is shown by you. It is entirely different. So the normal aggression responses of mammals are influenced by the socialization process. So, in human beings, the verbal discussions, insulting each other, and physical violence occurs during aggression. Sometimes this ends in a war between two human population itself. In aggression behavior, motivation of the individual is not clear in different situations of aggressiveness. Because some people might react aggressively for the reasons for which other consider to be silly. So that is the main problem for judging aggression. So what makes me aggressive might not be aggressive for you. So that is entirely different, because if in one situation I react normally, in the same situation another person might be reacting aggressively. So animals fight for getting shelter, food, mating partner, or for protecting their territories. In some species, the dominant hierarchy is maintained to achieve this. The aggression is a mixture of a variety of different behavior patterns serving very different functions. And ethologists have listed the following forms of aggressive behaviors. The first one is territorial behavior, in which exclusion of others from the physical space takes place, because by this aggressive behavior it tries to chase the others from their physical space. So that is one type of aggressive behavior. The second is dominance aggression, in which they control the conspecific occurs as a result of previous encounter, because it is between males of a particular species. They react aggressively to make to protect their dominance or to become dominant in their group. Sexual aggressive behavior occurs when males use threats and physical punishment to obtain and retain mates. So that is what is called as sexual aggressiveness. Next is paternal aggressive behavior, when attacks are made or intrude on intruders when youngs are present. That means when young ones are present, the parents they show aggressive behavior, and that is what is called as parental, sorry, not paternal, parental aggressive behavior. The fifth one is parent offspring aggressive behavior, is the disciplinary action by parents against offsprings. Mostly occurs in mammals associated with weaning, then when the young one continue to beg for food beyond the age when it is necessary for them to do so. So that is the parent offspring, because in birds you might have seen after they attain flight capabilities, the parents chase them away from their nest. In other cases, if in mammals, when they are uh, giving or when they give food or when they are providing milk for their young ones, after a particular age, they chase the young ones. They do not allow them to take their milk. So such type of behavior comes under what is called as parent-offspring aggression behaviors. Then predatory aggressive behavior includes the act of predation, including cannibalism. Then anti-predatory is behavior includes a defensive attack of by the prey on the predator. So these are the seven main types of aggressive behavior which has been classified. And it was found that the hormones which are responsible for aggressive behavior is that in some species estrogen affect aggressiveness to some extent. Luteinizing hormones, ACTH, etc., are found to be affecting the particular aggression behavior. The hormones have three levels of controls. The first determines a state of preparedness of aggression, because they are getting prepared for an aggression, and that is usually mediated by the androgens, the estrogen, and the LH or luteinizing hormone. The second stage is a capacity for quick response, that is mediated by epinephrine. And the third one is a slower and more sustained response to a stress. And that is what is called as, and that is maintained by the corticosteroids or the hormones from the adrenal cortex. So the level of preparedness to fight is called as aggressiveness, the first stage. And it is measured either by the amount of the provoking stimulus required to elicit the act, or by the intensity and prolongation of the act in the face of the given stimulus. So competition is a type of aggressive behavior which is leading to conflicts. So in competition, two or more individuals compete for the same object like food, water, space, burrows, holes, egg laying site, tree branches, nesting sites, and for mates. Coming to the second one, which is the aggressive behavior is common among animals for food due to shortage and clump distribution, etc. And fighting is common in some insect species. Even cannibalism is normal among members of some insect species. So, all these are examples of aggressive behaviors, and we'll discuss some coming under these heads. The four which we are going to discuss under the heads are competition, then communication, dominance, and territoriality. So, the first one is competition. So competition is a type of interaction among animals. So aggressive behavior occurs when individuals compete for the same resources. And competition, as we discussed in natural selection, it can be either intraspecific or interspecific competition. Intraspecific means it is within the same species. Interspecific means it is between different species. And competition mainly occurs by two types of mechanisms like direct as well as indirect. During interference competitions or based on the direct and indirect mechanisms, there are three categories of competitions which are categorized. They are interference, exploitative, and apparent competition. During interference competition, organisms interact directly by fighting for scarce resources through aggression. For example, when a male gorilla prohibits other males from accessing a mate by physical means or display of aggression, the dominant male is directly alerting the mating behavior of other males. This is an example of intraspecific interaction. The second one is exploitative competition. Here the organisms interact indirectly as they compete for common resources like territory, prey, food, etc. For example, the use of resources depletes the amount of valuable available resources to the others, or they compete for space. The apparent competition occurs indirectly between two species which are both preyed upon by the same predator. So apparent competition can be difficult to identify in nature, often because of the complexity of indirect interaction that involve multiple species and changing environmental conditions. Competition also obeys the law of exclusion or the principle of exclusion, which states that species less suited for competition for resources will either adapt or will move from the area or will die out. In order for two species to coexist in a same area, they might adapt by attaining different specialization, which is usually called as character displacement, which was found in Darwin's finches. Due to the overpopulation, humans are in competition with nature. Human beings exploited forests, wetlands, coral reefs, and exploited every habitat around the globe. Though human beings are not directly competing with plants and animals for food or for potential mates, human beings are indirectly competing with them by consuming their space. As human population is increasing, the living space of animals are declining. The next one is communication. So effective communication between individuals are necessary for living in a social group. All socially or all sensory channels have been used by one species or the other in communication, namely order, sound, touch, sight, etc. Communication plays a critical role in aggression, reproductive behavior, territoriality, dominance, parental care, etc. Because everything is mainly by communication, because only by communication you know whether you should exhibit a parental behavior, whether you should be aggressive, whether you should be competitive, etc. Communication involves at least one center producing the signal. So signal can be anything. It can be order. It can be some actions. It can be a touch. It can be sound, etc. So it requires a sender and also a receiver, which responds or receives the responses. The signaling systems are favored when the sender and the receiver both gain from the interaction. The signals exhibit extraordinary diversity because, as you know, the signals are very, very different. If you see birds, they have different type of plumages for sexual attraction. The vocalizations, the pheromones, vibrations, chemicals, the taste, sight, everything. So it is very diverse. The signals that is being produced for communication is diverse. The signs an animal recognizes and responses it makes depend upon the nature of the receptor and the activities of the appropriate endocrine system, etc. So that is with communication, and the next one is dominance. So dominance in the context of biology and anthropology is a state of having a high social status. And this is usually observed in organisms which is living in social groups. So it is having a high social status relative to one or more of the other individuals who react submissively to the dominant individual. This enables the dominant individual to obtain access to the resources like food, mates, etc. So the opposite of dominance is submissiveness. Dominance may be established by fighting, threatening, etc. Once established, the dominance relationship may reduce the level of aggression between individuals, because two individuals they fight each other, so aggression occurs, competition occurs. They fight with each other, and if one wins, the other becomes dominance. So again, there will not be a challenge for the dominance of the one who wins the dominance or wins the competition from the counterpart. The other will be remaining submissive. Again, this particular uh, the aggression for dominance occurs when other one challenges or the same one challenges in another situation. So in hierarchical societies, dominant individual in a group may exert the control over the others. More commonly, however, decision taking about the actions of the group is dissociated from the social dominance. In animal societies, dominance is typically variable across time. That is, age, then loss of social status change the reproductive condition, then across space, then territory, etc., over resources, etc. Perfect dominant hierarchies are rarely found in groups of any size. Dominant hierarchies may be more frequently found in captivity, since they tend to be induced by focused resources such as limited supplies of food, etc. There are some species in which clear dominant hierarchies are seen, and in which any case of establishing dominance relationship between individuals is usually the first step in describing the social relationship within an animal group. So that is with the dominance, and coming to the last one, that is territoriality. So the basic need of an organism is to have a living space. Many species of animals defend specific areas of land, and that is called as territories. And this is called as territorial behavior or territoriality. Kaufman have defined a territory as an area in which the resident animals enjoys the priority of access to limited resources that is does not enjoy other areas. A territorial animal has almost exclusive use of an area for a period of time, such as fishes, lizards, and carnivores. Territorial behavior is commonly found in animals when the habitat is fairly uniform, productive, and stable, and the population is small in relation to resources. A territory may be large or small depending upon the size of the animal population. So that's Uddati. And next we have a small topic which is ecology and or natural selection and behavior of animals. So natural selection is, as we said, it is a fundamental to the evolutionary theory. Variants of hereditary traits which increase the organism ability to survive and reproduce will make or will be more greatly represented in the subsequent generation because they are selected by nature. Thus, inherited behavioral mechanisms that allowed an organism to survive or reproduce is passed to the young ones or the next generation. That inherited adaptive behavior are present in the non-human animal species have been demonstrated by biologists. It has become a foundation to what is called as evolutionary biology. So with this we come to the end of the first portion of sociobiology. And in sociobiology, next we are going to discuss about social organization. We have to discuss the social organization in insects and social organization in mammals, which we'll discuss in the following sessions. Thanks for hearing.